Well, look, what can I say? I tried to kill her. I think I killed her 3 times, but it just wasn't enough. Hey everybody, this is DM Mike, and yes, I have been trying to kill Frulam, I think for the past 3 or 4 sessions, maybe more. Not actively trying to kill her. Well, actually, no, I take that back. I'm actively trying to kill her. But it wasn't the objective every single time we've played. There's been 2 assassination attempts on Frulam, and Frulam is a hero right now, right? So if you go back a couple of campaign diaries, maybe 3 or 4, there's a whole story there and how she became a hero. But the Red Wizards and the Cult of the Dragon know this, and they're trying to wipe her out. And they've sent a dark elf, I'll put it up here, a picture, Jevin, to go attack her. Now, the first time they did this, I'll put another map up here, Jevin first introduced himself. He came with a Dreifa, which are just servants. These are these dark spiders, right? So he tried to ambush them in the tower way back in the city of El Terrell before they set out for the swamp, before they went to Waterdeep, all these kinds of things. Jevin tried to kill them, tried to assassinate Frulam there, and failed. And then if you go back and listen to one of the radio dramas, I think I want to say number 12 or 13. Maybe I'll put a little image up so if you want to reference it. It's actually a pretty action-packed one. The Thieves Guild caught wind of this and tried to attack Jevin to get him off the tail of the heroes. It's getting complicated, but there was a great little action scenario there. While Jevin was finally cast aside, like he left the situation, and then later he finds out they went to Waterdeep and they were in the swamp. There's other radio dramas that address that as well. And finally, Jevin made his move and ambushed them in the swamp. It took a while to track them and find them, but he found them. And so last Friday we played, and all the encounter was, I had so much planned, like we do as DMs, right? We got so much stuff, and really sometimes you only get to like 3% of it. Not that I even created a bunch of stuff. I really didn't think this would take this long. But we just had one enormous encounter, meaning span of time. But I'll put the map up here. You can see this is the ambush. It's not really the ambush. This is actually where the undead were, the undead fog. This is a map I created for this encounter. Now, the first half hour, maybe 45 minutes of the adventure was them slowly kind of sneaking through this fog. The thief, who actually was incredibly useful, not that he's never useful, but he was incredibly useful during this whole time because he had cast I think it was a ranger who cast Pass Without Trace, and it was Thimbraeus, our thief, who distracted the undead, with his thaumaturgy, just having things go off left and right and further from the boats so the zombies would not come towards the boat. Now, these zombies were not typical zombies that you would encounter out in the fields or in a castle or whatnot. The rolling fog, the undead fog that was coming into the swamp was pulling the undead out from the waters and the surrounding territory almost kind of unwillingly. It was bringing life to dead corpses, this fog. They never knew what it was. They couldn't quite figure it out. They're still fighting at it right now. But it was pulling them up. So these zombies, these undead, were kind of meandering around in the fog, almost being pushed by this ethereal, magical presence. So they weren't really looking for a fight. They weren't really responding to every little thing, every little twitch or movement, or the smell of people or heroes, I guess, but they were being pushed forward. So it was actually, the first part of the encounter was actually kind of fun to do, I thought, because it required a lot of skill sets and just kind of not attacking, but could they weave these two little boats through this without causing a ruckus, without having suddenly 10 to 15 zombies come hoarding in on the boat. And they did actually really, really well as we started out. Like I said, the thief was popping off thaumaturgy to making sounds here and there. I hope I got the spell right. Making sounds here and there to kind of get the zombies to move, because every once in a while the boats, as you'll probably see on the map here, the boats would get really, really close to a zombie that was just kind of reluctantly being pushed forward in the swamp, and the swamp water was about waist high, and they would have to kind of steer that boat, like slowly get the oars out, hit the water a little bit just to kind of get the boat to go left or right so they wouldn't bump into it. It was kind of fun, actually, and it was pretty entertaining at the beginning. But then when they got under this one particular tree, everybody was still in the boat. They're still trying to get past these zombies, and off to the distance, off on the left side, I think it was Althea who caught it. There was one creature out there that wasn't moving like the others, and was not stumbling through the murk and the muck and the swamp water, but was just slowly almost gliding in the water. And she was the one who spotted it. She looked over, and that character knew that it had been spotted. And as she turned, the character in the water, the enemy pretty much, as she turned, she just saw a female face, a dark elf that just went shh, and suddenly all hell broke loose. They ambushed them. Jevin and I called the Sisters of the Black Spear. These are not necessarily blood sisters or anything like that. They're just a group of mercenaries that Jevin went to and hired to help him take out the heroes. So they ambushed him, and as soon as Althea saw that female assassin out there, suddenly chain came down from one of the trees, wrapped around Frulam's neck, and yanked her up to the top. And as soon as she got to the top, there was a surprise round. My 3 assassins got their first 3 hits in and pummeled Frulam with long black arrows. And man, I just took a chunk out of her. And look, I'm not out to kill my characters, but I felt like the assassins, they were tired of this. They were tired of failing their mission. So my goal Friday night, kill Frulam. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I aimed for. So I didn't pull any punches. I was hitting hard. And to make a long story short, it got out of control. It really did. I dropped Frulam to 0 hit points, I think 4 separate times. And every time she would go down, we'd start making death saves, and I'd almost get there, and then there you go. The cleric brings her up, or somebody else stabilizes her. And I was trying to distract the heroes while pummeling Frulam with black arrows and everything else I could think of. Man, it just didn't matter. She just kept dropping, coming back up, dropping, coming back up. It was almost a little comical in a way. But it was... And it just got worse from there. It really did. Jevin, if you look on the map there, I had Jevin way up on the stone pillar, and the other 2 female assassins way up in the trees, like 45, 50 feet up in the trees. They had picked their spot perfectly. They wanted to get them into a triangular position and nail them, just everybody from long distance, because they knew not everybody could shoot from long range. Most people, I think the only person there that really could do that was the ranger and maybe the thief. So they were trying to take advantage of that situation. Matter of fact, Jevin had instructed the Sisters of the Black Spear to hit Frulam first and Storm next, because he was the big guy. If they can get the tank out of the way and drop him, they could breathe a little bit easier, because if they have to go down into the water and fight them sword to sword, the big guy's out of the way, right? That was my plan. And unfortunately, it just spun out of control. There was so much going on. And then every once in a while, when spells going off and people yelling, they would attract a zombie. So 1 or 2 zombies also entered the fray at random times as well. So it was interesting. Every time a spell would go off, we'd roll something just to see if a zombie responded. And I think really a lot of things were happening. For sure, a lot of spells going off, but I think only like 2 maybe zombies actually responded. And at the end of the round, like a whole horde of zombies, I'd push them forward. They were just moving past all this as the fog was going through. So it got messy. They eventually killed one of the sisters. I think I'll put her token up just so you have an image for her. They killed one of the sisters way up in the trees, and it was funny. The long-range characters were hitting her. They were getting kind of lucky, but I remember our cleric couldn't hit anything. Just could not hit anything. She tried all night to land a single hit on something or someone and just kept failing over and over and over again. And I hate that. I see that as a DM, and I watch my players just miss and miss and miss and miss. I get it, I understand it. That's a very frustrating thing to be in. But funny enough, she was the one who dropped one of the sisters up in the tree. She just kind of said she risked it. She went for it. And this sister had like 3 hit points left. As a matter of fact, she had used one of her small little flutes, ocarina. I think that's what it's called, an ocarina. I'm probably saying it wrong. I say a lot of things wrong. To call in these large bats. If you go back and listen to one of the radio dramas, you'll hear Jevin, when he's being attacked by the thieves, he calls in a huge giant bat, which is like his mount that he rides. Well, she was calling her bat to get the hell out of there because she was almost dead. Well, before the bat got there, our cleric finally hit a bullseye, long range weapon, and she doesn't usually use long range, and knocked her out of the tree, and she plummeted down right into the swamp water. And the other assassin, not Jevin, but the other sister, was shrouded in darkness. The thief cast darkness up there, and boy, was that an issue. That spell is a pain in the butt. It really was. And I got caught up in that, trying to figure out, like, how do I get out of this? How does this assassin break through, with no spells, break through the darkness thing? And 3/4 of the way through the adventure, this is like too late now, right? I remembered, wait a minute, this is a concentration spell. I should have been going after the thief. But then that's a hard call, right? Do the assassins know that? Do they know the thief cast the spell? The assassin that had the spell cast on them, well, they couldn't do anything, right? They don't know who did it. So it was a bit of a conundrum, I think. And we had just a lot of things that were tricky to work around. It's hard to explain now. We lost the podcast. I tried to record it, and for whatever the reason, it recorded 30 minutes and stopped. And I just get, sometimes these tech issues are just ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. So it was another great episode, lost to time. We'll never be able to hear it again. There were so many funny things that happened. But in the end, I'm probably skipping way too far ahead here. It's going to be a short campaign diary. Jevin did get away. Matter of fact, after dropping Frulam for the 4th time and one assassin dead, the other assassin was being attacked by 3 giant spiders that Althea had summoned in, and were crawling up the tree, attacking her. Her giant bat, the assassin, came down to try to rescue her, but was having a hard time because she was in darkness, and it's like 15 feet. I think it's like a 15 feet cube or round or whatever. And so the bat was also in darkness, and everybody's trying to hit this thing. It was getting a little messy. It's kind of hard for me to describe now, but contextually it was like head scratching about how we did certain things. And we're still, the encounter is not over. We stopped right there. The assassin realized the bat's not going to get her out of there, so she just took a leap of faith, literally, and leaped out of the tree to try to get the hell away from these huge giant spiders that were just attacking her. And she couldn't get out of there. And of course, Jevin saw the situation and realized, we're not winning here. I'm out. And he got away. He got hit a couple times from long range. Superficial wounds, nothing that's going to bother Jevin. But his bat came in. Jevin had the sweet spot. He really did. He set himself up on purpose. That was a sweet spot to be. And you'll see it on the map there. But he got away. And right now they are still going after this last assassin who still has darkness on her. Going back to one of my videos I talked about, I think in chapter tips I gave, chapter 2, when I talked about watching Ninja Scroll and, the unique weapons we can give them, not necessarily magical weapons, but just these weird, unique powers that they can have. Well, I gave the Black Sisters, the Sisters of the Black Spear, similar unique weaponry. They had long spears that, just like the spearhead, maybe about 10 inches or so long, 2 of them with chains that went down, chains that were connected to something on the back, and they could fire them out, and they would have like 30-40 foot reach, and they could hit something, twist, and come back out again, and kind of get into position. They could fire each one off, so they got 2 attacks each time. And they could hit things at extreme long range for a simple melee weapon. And that was kind of fun to do. Again, calling back to Ninja Scroll, calling back to those ideas of giving characters, your NPCs, really unique and strange weaponry. I like doing that. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff sometimes, of course, but I like doing that. I like characters that come out of nowhere and they're using things that the heroes haven't seen beyond just bows and arrows and swords. So that was kind of fun to do. But yeah, there was all kinds of things that happened. They were trying to sink the boats to give them another problem. They were trying to alert the zombies to make it distracting so Jevin and all of them could focus on Frulam. But you know what? I got her down to about 2 death saves, and somebody stabilized her. I can't remember how it happened. And then the second time I did it, someone cast Cure Wounds. I mean, it was just one thing after another. It was it was funny, but it was frustrating. And I began to think, wow, you just can't kill characters, can you? I know you can, don't get me wrong, it's hyperbole here, I'm just kind of being over-exaggerating, but there was a moment in there, I was like, man, unless you really knock out certain characters, of course, like you get your cleric down, it's really difficult to kill a character when they're so close to other characters and everybody's kind of working together. It's difficult. It's a challenge. And I think Jevin has learned this. And there's a lot more to come, I think, for this from this NPC. This is not the end. So anyway, let me wrap it up here. They're still in this encounter, and after this, we hit the castle. And who knows what's going to happen there. There's a lot that has been set up for this, and I anticipate another 3 or 4 weeks maybe in this chapter. And this is the longest one we've been into. We may be up to 6 or 7 sessions with plenty more to go. But anyway, guys, that's it. We play not this Friday, but the next Friday. So we got a little bit of time off, but who knows what's going to happen. I don't know what they're going to do, if they try to capture this assassin or if they try to kill her or whatever. There's so much up in the air. But anyway, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for keeping up with it. And I'll see you in the next video.